Craig, you got that? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share. You can drop in here. I'm going to go ahead and I just put if you look down on your toolbar, everybody, I've got a drag and drop file. So you're going to be able to download the slides from tonight's presentation. So you can do that. So I'll leave that active. That's right on your toolbar, right on the go to webinar control panel where you're at. So you can grab that. So you've got it, and then we'll go from there. So you betcha. Hello there, Corey. We're going to go through, and Mario, welcome. JD, again, good to see you. Alex, good to see you. And Darren, good to see you. So let's go ahead and dive into this, shall we? So I want to thank everybody, and if this cuts out, just let me know. I want to really thank our sponsors, Flex, PNS, IDA, and then I want to thank my family. They let me out tonight. We had, for those that aren't in the know on the weather in Southern California, I live up in the mountain community of Big Bear Lake. We're about 2 hours outside of Los Angeles, and we got we got a little over 30 inches of snow in the last 36 hours. So they're out having fun today. We went and did a little skiing. My wife and I both volunteer on mountain rescue teams for the Sheriff's Department. I'm glad to say that 2 nights ago in the middle of the storm, we went out and we saved 3 souls on the top of a very high, cold mountain. And then today, my wife went out and searched for 5 lost skiers. They were able to bring them home. So I want to thank them for giving up my time, and I really want to thank Flex, PNS, and the IDA for backing this up. So we're really excited about that. So let's jump in and let's talk about tonight what we're going to do. We're going to talk about 5 key factors within your business. So, Craig, do I still have good sound here?
Yeah, sounds good to me, Renny.
Good. So we're going to talk about planning, connection, branding, recognition, and then your local market. And I think these are, there's another 10 dozen topics that we can cover. And within the Detail Mafia, we cover a lot of those. And we meet every week and you still can't cover them all. But these are things that I feel really important about. And I think it's something that a lot of people in business are lacking, even us old timers. So let me start out by saying this. This webinar is not designed for brand new people only. It is designed for, I've got Jim Go, I got Craig that I'm speaking live to. We've got a lot of years in business. We could go back, if you add up Craig and I's years alone, it would go back to George Washington's crossing of the Delaware in an amount of years that we've got. I'm exaggerating, by the way, but we've got a lot of decades in business, and this is going to be aimed towards those that are brand new, or those of things that you need. If you've been around for a while, you need to take and maybe revisit again. I do it every couple of months. I revisit all of these things. So it's really important that you take and pay attention tonight. If you've got a pad of paper and a pen, it'd be a good idea to take some notes. And then again, I am going to make this available. We'll record it and we'll put it on social media. And then the Detail Mafia, you're going to actually have an answer key that I'm going to supply over to you, a worksheet. So I'll put that up and post it tomorrow. It's about a 20-minute gig. It's a worksheet for you to go through to make sure that all of these items are covered. And so as paid members, you're going to take and be entitled to that. So we're going to talk about planning, connection, branding, recognition, and then what your local market is looking for and how to tap into the best and highest levels of your market. But before we do that, let's go through. Craig, you got good visual too? Should say warning up at the top.
Should say what?
Warning. It says warning before we jump into the 5 basics.
No, I just have your screen, basically.
Okay, hold on. Let me see. Let me make sure that we're going to. Okay, how's that?
Yes.
Okay, that better? Now it should say warning?
Yep.
Okay, so before we jump into the 5 basics I want to cover some of the concerns I have within our current small business entrepreneurs. Some people seem that they want to run before they could take their first big step these days. Success as a business, business is a marathon faced with changes and challenges. Get your foundation solid in 2016. There's a lot of weird things going around in the economy. There's some saying that we're going to hit another housing bubble. I really don't care, because my business, although all the way up until 2008 when that one hit, was the first little blip that ever hit us kind of hard. But you know what? We survived it. But the point is that you need to get your foundation strong right now. So let me talk about this. Reality check. Birth of Renny Doyle Detailing back in 1989. Now, I had been detailing for many years before that, and I called it back then a business, but really before 1989, was it a business? I was a teenager. And it was a loosely ran hobby that I made a few bucks off of. But it was important because I got my foundation built. I got my ears wet as a young man, and I made some money and I made some mistakes, but I had a lot of fun with it. So all of these years, 1990 to 91, 1999 to 2000, 2001, and then 2007 to 2011, these have all have got one thing in common. Now, Craig's on with me. Craig, any guess of what that's going to be and what's common with all these years?
Well, I would say those are years where the economy was at billions of dollars.
That's it. That was years that the economy got really kind of stinky. Now the thing is I was I was already in survival mode. I've always planned for the what ifs. So to survive that wasn't a really big endeavor for us. We made it through, and again, because we're not sprinters, we're marathon runners. We were ready for it. Now, 2007, 2008 was a little tougher. We did make it through, but I got bruised up. I got bruised up more than I'd like to admit. But you know what? We did make it. A lot of other people did too. Now I know people that are on this call. We've got right down the street from Craig is we've got Mr. Detail. They're on the call tonight. They started up in 08, 09. They launched in that time frame, but it was a really tough time. And man, they're doing really, really well now. I know a lot of other people did the same thing. But for those of us that were in a niche market, maybe a specialty market at the time, I was heavily invested in the corporate jet business. If you recall back, the corporate jets were really kind of they were really hurting, and it was a bad thing to be involved in. And so our business turned downward for some time. So I want to encourage everybody look at the long term rewards versus the short term gains. You want to think about long term, but you want to look a month, 2 months out in front of you, but you want to be ready for a year or two in front of you too. And that's by your banking, by putting money away, by a lot of different factors that can play into it. So I want to go back, and whether you're brand new or if you're seasoned like myself, I've been around a long time. I ask myself this. Sometimes I just put a post of an old guy's face and it said, "Look, business has been great. I'm only 39 years old," and he looked to be about 110. So sometimes we all ask ourselves, why are we doing this? And you got to remind yourself, why are you doing this? Is it to become wealthy? Is it you hate working for others? Is it your freedom of your life? Do you love cars if you're in the detailing industry, or if you're in the PDR or the dealership industry? I've got a few people from all over the calendar here, all over the map on what they do. Is it to be famous? Is it lifestyle? Is it side money? Is it to build a business that your kids can take over? You know, a lot of people are worried about where our country, where our economy, where our global economy is going. So let's go ahead and take a poll real quick. I'm going to step out of this. And I'm going to ask you guys, I want to see how you, now I don't keep track of this. Okay. So this is just for our private use. Doesn't have your name attached to it or anything else. So I want to hear, why did you start your business? Okay. And we're going to have to, that's cool. We're completely filled up. So I want to go ahead. I'm going to ask you this poll. We're going to open it up. So go ahead and take in and answer this. Is to become wealthy, build a business for my kids' future, hate working for others, freedom, I love cars. What's your number one reason? I've always got one. My number one passion was I loved cars. That's what got me into this thing. I love cars and airplanes. So if you'll take and answer that, I want to see where we're at. Wow, okay. That's a great number. Look at this. Okay, wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. And so we're going to go ahead and I'll read out. Let's go ahead and take and I'm going to go ahead. Whoops. Count that out of there. So 71% of you was a love affair for the cars, 40% freedom, 28% I hate to work for others. Yeah, it was probably my second one. And then 8% was build a business for my kids' future, and 9% become wealthy. Cool. Okay, so we're going to answer some questions on that. That's pretty cool. That's really neat. So we're going to go ahead and close that poll out for now. We're going to start this back up here. So you got to ask yourself that. And there's a great quote here in just a minute that I'm going to take and give you that was from a really famous person I had the opportunity to have witness to me about, business in general, and it was really an honor. So update your whys. I constantly update mine because I've got 4 kids, 2 of which are grown now in the military. Matter of fact, we'll call out to my son. He got promoted in the Marine Corps today. So right on, Devin. I'm really proud of you. As your life changes, your market changes. As you age, the truth should find you. I think once you hit 40, 45 years old, the big tickets are going to be 30, 40, 45. And then past that, I don't know. I'm coming up on a new marker this year. We'll see what changes from there. On your realities and the realities of your market, sometimes you'll get in, you'll think one way of your market, and then all of a sudden you'll find out, well, your market's not quite that. And then your lifestyle wishes. I know as I get older, my lifestyle, I'm kind of reverting back to my 20s. And I really, really love my lifestyle. I'm really into it. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're any age, don't give up your lifestyle. Don't give up your life. Keep it up. So why is this important? You can lose your priorities really easily, and it can be destructive, not only destructive to your business, but to your life. Don't lose your way, how I have a couple times over my career, by losing my vision of what's truly important to you. Make sure to keep what's dear to your heart by reminding yourself. Now, you're probably an A type. If you started a business, you're probably an A type. And A types, guess what? We get tunnel vision. We get our eye sitting out there on the goal and we don't stop. Well, you know what? One time in my life, I'm not proud about this. This is why I preach this so much. I looked down and got busy when I was 30, and I didn't look up till I was 40. And I honestly don't remember my 30s. How sad is that? Now, my 40s have been the opposite. I remember every detail because you know what? I've stopped the old. I hate to say it, but I've smelt the roses. And you know what? I've been addictive to life. I've lived an addictive lifestyle, meaning that I don't do drugs. I've never drank or anything like that. We got a weather. Oh, Amber Alert. I live a life that is addicted to fun. I live a life that's addicted to my family, my kids, my wife, all these different things. And you know what? I absolutely love it. And you know what's funny? My business has grown more since then than it did when I put my neck down into the business and didn't come up for air. So don't make that mistake. Have fun, enjoy life. It's meant to, you only have one time around. You better enjoy it. My story, and I'm going to get to this. I'm going to bore you for a second, so I just stay with me. Is I've built 3 businesses before I went national. Okay, I built 5 businesses and 6 shops before going international. I had 17 cars cross the Barrett-Jackson stage in the late 90s all the way up to 2007. I've worked with celebrity accounts for 3 years before going international. I've owned 60% of a market share in my primary markets. In our market just outside of Dallas, in our Sun Valley office, we own 60+% of the detailing going on in that market. It's almost impossible to do, but you know what? It's doable. And now, as you get into a bigger market, you're going to be able to do that. You couldn't stay in business. You couldn't do all that work. But if you're in a moderate to mid-sized small market, you can do it. I managed a staff of 30+ technicians before going international. I allowed my client base to make me famous. That's really important, as we're going to get into that here in a second. I was sponsored by Shell Oil in 2000 at the age of 32. I secured Air Force One detailing project at the age of 34. I now host booth and am sponsored by Flex and PNS. I've worked with the greats like Sonex and others. I've done testing for McGuire's. I've worked with all these guys, these great names that you can bring up. I've had the opportunity to work with them. I've now trained over 300 professionals, which 70% of them are still in business today. I've never worked a day for a large industry giant. I did the above with faith, hard work, solid marriage. Diane's my partner and everything. And I'm going to tell you right now, these are all the main steps that you're going to have to take to make it. A lifetime of planning, hard work, and relationship building is what it's all about. You've got to take and build on relationships. You've also got to be realistic. Now, the key in this, I want you to write down is 60% market share right now. I want you to write that down or keep it in your mind because it's going to show you something here in just a second. Be selective of whoever gets into your mind. When you need the professional advice, get it from professionals, not your friends. Choose mentors carefully. I've got mentors on this call right now, people that I absolutely adore, I love, and I trust their thought pattern, and I trust their whole judgment. I don't go to friends, not personal friends, and not friends that have never owned a small business, and not friends that have never owned a service business. Just remember that most that you seek input from are going to be jealous. They don't want you to succeed, or they'll sabotage your efforts. I've been witness to that, and it sounds crazy, but I've seen it I see it on a monthly basis with the people that I'm engaged with, is that people, especially people that want to live a dream, but they don't think they can ever do it. So guess what? They don't want you to do it either. So be very, very selective over who you allow into your mind and into your plan. Now, your perspective. Are you looking for a local or national or global business? What are you looking for? So we're going to take a little poll here real quick. So we're going to take in real quick, I'm going to share the results. You guys can look at this real quick. The last results, why did you start your business? Look at that. If you look at 71%, I love cars. That's pretty cool. You know, that's pretty cool. So what we're going to do with this is let's go ahead and we're going to take and share another poll. Okay. And we're going to take, or not. Okay, we're going to hide the results. What are you most interested in? Okay, launch the poll. So we want to take, are you more interested in success locally? Are you success nationally? Or are you looking at global success? What are you looking for? Okay, there's the numbers I wanted to see. Right on. Good deal. Okay, look at this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take in, we're going to let a few more people come in on this. Okay, right on. Good. That's good numbers. That's really good numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and close this poll out. Okay, but I'm going to show the results real quick. 66% of you want local, 24% nationally, and then 10% want to have some global success. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. But let's jump into this real quick. Okay, so what you're looking at is, here's what I want to ask yourself. Have you dominated your local market? So I live in Big Bear Lake, California. It's a resort community. There's a lot of money here, a lot of second homes. My engagement here is I go after a really selective market. But my market in, let's say, Sun Valley, Idaho, that was my biggest and most successful, kind of my proud point within my career, is we had 60% market share. I could afford to go after national and international fame because you know what? I rocked our local market. But if you can't dominate your local market, how are you going to dominate a global market? You've got to really be truthful with yourself. You can't sit there and think that you're going to go after a huge market when you haven't had the ultimate success in your local market. You're not going to be able to handle it. So for those that answered that you wanted to go after a global or national, you know what? I beg you, go ahead and do some research. Know your market, go after and win your market, and get up to 40, 50, 60% market share. Guess what? Then you're ready to go national or international. Now, if you've got people calling on you and you've got people coming after you and they want you to go around the country, around the world to work, are you going to do it? Hey, as long as I can make money, you betcha. Now, here's my thing. I've sworn this for years. Anybody that's on the line, I've been pushing 40 or 50 bucks an hour for a decade and a half. Now I'm telling everybody, you better be at 100 bucks an hour. Well, guess what? When I traveled, it was 24/7. When I went out back in the late 90s and early part of the decade, back in 2000 to 2007, I was 50, 60 bucks an hour, 24 hours a day. That's how I bid everything out. And you've got to be able to do the same exact thing. Going global will take you time and planning. Concentrate on your market, earn big money locally before you take on the world. I love this quote. You're not famous until my mother has heard of you, Jay Leno. Becoming famous locally will not only pay the bills, but it's going to build you up. Become a legend within detailing. Now, we're going to cover a little bit on how you want to do that, but you got to ask yourself, what can I do to be the go-to brand in my market? What steps and processes are there to make me a known name and business locally? I'm going to tell you right now, if you can take and become famous in your local market, if your local clientele are sharing your name and your business with their mom, to Jay Leno's point, you're going to be famous in your local market. Now, for 66% of you, that's all you care about. I'm going to tell you, it's not that difficult if you take and work your plan and work your plan hard. But if you don't, it's going to be difficult. For those that want to go to the next level and you want to do some national work and global success, you're going to have to take and get famous at a different level. But let your local market help you do that. Concentrate on that local market. It might be a niche. Maybe you're working on real extreme supercars. Maybe you're working on classic cars. Maybe like my buddy Harry that's working on motorcycles. Whatever that is, you're better off if you can niche it, and you're better off if you make your local market allow them to make you famous. I want you to all agree from this point on right now, okay? Right now is that you were born to survive. You have got to have that attitude, because I don't care what happens. I don't care how successful your business is right now. At some time, you're going to have a sales cycle that slows down. Now, many of us are facing it right now because guess what? We are in the midst of winter in most of the country. Now, for Arizona and Florida, you guys are going crazy. This is your on season. You're thriving right now. That's great. But for the rest of us, we have got to take and have the attitude of being a survivalist. I want to take one of my favorite words I want to share with you right now is thrive. I love that word because I don't want to just survive. I want to thrive. And I want to prosper. I want to flourish. Now look at this. Flourish, prosper, bloom. I love that name. Bloom, mushroom, well, advance, succeed, boom. How many times do you want to hear that in your business? Okay. But before that you can thrive, you've got to be able to get through the seasons. All too many of small businesses, they've got these sales cycles that are massive. You've got these Mount Everest of success stories, and then you've got the reverse. You've got the depths of the ocean that you're going down into in the off season. You've got to be able to balance that. If you want to thrive, you've got to be able to balance your sales cycles. How do you do that? By being a localized expert, by people recognizing you, by your brand being well known, and by educating. You've got to educate, educate, educate. Planning. Here's a big part of this. I want you to sit down and I want you to write out the following plans. And it can be in pen, it can be on paper, it can be, you can make it as fancy as you want. But here, as simple as this, is your business plan. Mine's 3 pages long. Unless you're going for bank backing, or if you've got an investor, a huge complex business plan today is a dinosaur. My business plan is 3 pages long. It lays out everything I can do. And guess what? If it is not updated every month, it's every other month. But usually it's every couple, two to 4 weeks that I'm in it and tweaking it a little bit. I've got a marketing plan. I want to know who, how, where, how much, who's the buyer, how are they going to hear about me, how they're going to, what are they willing to pay. I want to find out how to connect with as many of them as I can. It might be a niche market, it might be a mass market. It depends on what you want as your business and what your market looks like. Now, we've got people that are in North Dakota, South Dakota, Idaho, some Utah, Alaska, all these states that you don't think about detailing in. But guess what? They're doing it right because they understand their market and they've got their marketing plan done right. And part of this planning is, so you've got your business plan, your marketing plan. Now you're going to go into your social media attack plan. This is huge today. You cannot live in yesterday or last year. You've got to be taking and cutting edge within your social media. It's got to be right there. You got to be on top of it, and you got to understand it, which means you're going to have to be a student again. You're going to have to really, really study it. You go in, you're going to hear the name Jim Gogan a lot tonight. We're partners. We do a lot, and he's part of the one of the leaders in the mafia. We do a lot of studying on social media at SEMA. We take classes and everything else, and all throughout the year, we're both constantly reading up. Both of us are constant contact all-stars, meaning we're top 10, 15% of email marketers worldwide. We've got a chance. My wife and I are becoming ultra all-stars. They want to pay us to put classes on. I didn't know any of that. Guys, I'm almost 50 years old. Newsletter was something you printed out, you took to a printer, you printed it out, and you mailed it. Electronic newsletter, this is all pretty new to me in my career. Matter of fact, most of my career was made before the internet was even popular. And so if an old dog like me can learn it, well, guess what? Anybody can. Offline marketing. Okay, this is my pet peeve because a lot of you, especially if you're younger or if you're older and lazy, is you forgot that you've got to do things offline. You've got to go and connect, and you've got to have a localized plan on how you're going to infiltrate the local market and how you're going to become top of mind marketing and how everybody's going to think of you as the golden child of detailing. You want to be the Mike Phillips in your local market. I'm sure that Mike absolutely adores all the effort that we put in as fans of his to promote him. But guess what? Don't promote Mike. Don't promote me. Promote yourself locally. You do the videos. You do the conversations. You do the webinars. You do the speeches. You go and meet with people. It's part of your localized guerrilla marketing plan. And if you're not familiar with global guerrilla marketing, I just posted a picture of a book that I've had for 25, 30 years in our private member area. And I found it and I went, whew, I dusted it off and I said, I got to reread it. I'm reading it right now. And it dives really deep into guerrilla marketing. And what I like about it is it's all offline. This book was written before there was an online, before there was a web. And it will teach you the basics of going back and doing marketing the old-fashioned way. Now, a lot of people will say, well, why do I want to do that? Why wouldn't you? Now, here's one piece of advice. I got to take, and I had Warren Buffett as a client. And I got to talk to him once. I had to talk to him a couple times, but I didn't have the nerve the first time to ask him. But finally, on our second meeting, I asked him, hey, what one single piece of advice would you give a young entrepreneur? And here's what he said. He said, if his response, write every goal down. If it isn't written, it isn't happening. So anybody that knows me knows that I carry a journal, and I've got 3 journals. I've got a written journal because in my mind, if I don't write it down with pen and paper, it doesn't stick with me as much. When I'm on pen and paper, guess what? It sticks with me for life. I absolutely will never forget it, and it keeps important. Now, aside from that too, what I've got a journal on my iPhone and I've got a journal on my iPad. It's pretty cool. Hey, Craig, do you still have the slides up?
No, I can't see the slide.
Oh man, hold on. Let me see if it's for some reason.
Yeah, there we go. Now I'm done.
Okay. Wow, that was weird. So we've got it up now, planning?
Yep.
Okay. So as we go through and you start taking and writing all these plans down, remember that one thing that this kid from Colton, California, that's a nobody. I met one of the world's most wealthiest persons, and the one thing he said was write every goal down. If it isn't written, it isn't happening. And I've taken that. I'll take that to my grave. I use it every day. I write my goals down on a daily basis. Every single day, I go through my goals. Connections. This is really cool. 3 degrees of separation fact. This used to be 6 to 1, meaning that for every sixth person that you met in your chain of people you know, that they would know somebody. They're only 6 people away from knowing whoever you're trying to get in contact with. Now, with all the things as fast as the world's going, with everything going on with social media, with LinkedIn, with I can go on. God, what's some of the apps I've got on my phone? You just look at those right there. You know, you've got Instagram, all these different tools that you've got. Guess what? We're only 3 degrees of separation. So we're only 3 people away from knowing somebody that you're trying to get a hold of. So you know what? The more people that you get to know, it only makes sense that it's going to make your business that much more successful. So you've got to go out and make connections on a regular basis. Now, don't keep that to just online. I know it's important. It's really cool when I go to SEMA and I get to see people that I've chatted with and I've watched their children be born. I've watched grandchildren be born. I've watched them go on trips. I've seen their vacations. It's really fascinating, but you need to have that in person too in your local market. Don't just make it about online. Get personal. Don't text them. Texting is not personal. Texting now, 3 degrees of separation is a part of that. Oh, you bet you. But get out there and let people know who you are. Let them get addicted to you. Offline connection building. This is, you know what? Be ears. Listen to everybody. I heard a really interesting quote. If you want a great quote, I heard a quote and it says, "Don't be interesting, be interested." Meaning that, you know what? So many times, God, I'm guilty of it. So many times we try to be interesting to other people, but we don't take the interest in their lives. So you know what? Sometimes quiet down and really be interested in what other people are saying. Because a lot of times I know what people do for a living. I can get that in a few seconds and really and if somebody tells me, oh, hey, I'm a PDR guy, that's awesome. If they let me tell them about my business, and then I feel they took an interest in it, that's who I really remember. The guys that just tell me more and more about their business or they hand me a card, oh, really? What am I going to do with this? But if you take and you're interested in my business, you show an interest, you remember, you retain things about my business, about my life, I'll tell you what, you're going to win me over, and that's more important. Online connections, oh my God, can you believe what's available out there? I can't even, you know what? People will send me messages on Facebook. I can't keep up with them. There's just no way. Matter of fact, I'm looking for a personal assistant to just deal with my emails on my messages on Facebook and emails and all these different things. That's how crazy it's got. I went on LinkedIn the other day. I had like 342 messages. I didn't even know you could get messages on LinkedIn. I was like, where the heck did these come from? So you've got all these abilities to make connections online. And it's really important if you manage them correctly. And then who do you know that knows the connections that you need? Reach out, tell people what people have got to know what your mission is. My own brother, back when I started this thing, he told me, man, you know what? This is going to be a hard go. Are you sure you really want to do this? Now he looks at me and he's like, man, I can't believe you did it. How'd you do it? And I said, you know what? It's people. It comes down to people, connections, knowing people, getting to know people, helping them out of bad spots, them helping me out of bad spots, and being committed. It comes down to that. That's really what it comes down to. And then lastly, here is make them demand you. If you want to earn more, get them demanding you. You want to get calls. My favorite thing is when people call and they don't ask how much, they say, when can you do it? How cool is that? Now, I ran for years and years and years. We used to brag about it all the way up until 2008 that we hadn't had to give a proposal out. We hadn't given a price out. If people called and asked us for a price, our response, get this. This is how successful we had been. Is we said, if you've got to ask for a price, you can't afford us. I mean, is that unreal or what? I wouldn't dream of doing that today. You couldn't. You'd be laughed at. But we are in demand, and we had that reputation so strong that we could do it. Now, did it last? No. That's why I tell you got to be able to adapt and change real quickly. Use of modern day connection tools. Newsletter. Oh my God. You guys, if you're not doing a newsletter, you're crazy. Social media, modern day follow-up tools. If you're not following up, again, you're nuts. Software. If you're not running your business on a software program, you're crazy. And then old-fashioned courtesy. I mean, what's wrong with calling somebody up and telling them thank you, that you appreciate their business? How many people do that anymore? Nobody. It's very few. We do. That's how we build our business. And I'm telling you, old-fashioned courtesy. The phone is an amazing tool in your mouth of telling them thank you. You appreciate it. It's unreal on how far that will get you. So my newsletter efforts have been a huge part of my business for the last 2 decades. Can you believe it? Yep, I'm that old. But we used to mail them out. Oh my God, you guys, we've got it so easy today. We have no clue on how easy it is. We really don't. So you just got to jump in there. There's so many tools to show you the successes of this. Okay, Craig, did we send over branding you and your business?
Yep.
Cool. Okay, I wanted to put some logos up here. Now, I did it in our private area a few weeks ago, and I didn't dare do it because I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But if you've got the outline of a car on your business card, change your logo. There's too many people. It used to be really creative back in the day. You've got to have something that stands out. Now, is a logo change bad? No, I've changed mine like 4 times in the last couple decades. No, not even that, 15 years. It's changed 4 times. Matter of fact, we're phasing out one of our old logos right now. We're doing it in. Some of the biggest names, Coke did it. It failed them miserably, but it was because it's an old recognized logo. None of us have that problem. We're not that, again, back to Jay Leno, our moms don't know who we are, so we don't have to really worry about it. So, but you know what? Make sure that your logo's fresh, stand out. Don't look like everybody else in your market. What's your name and logo say? Do you have a message? I mean, a tagline's great. I mean, if you've got a really cool logo, we've got a couple people on here that've got great logos, and it didn't say enough, and they put great taglines on there, and it really changed it out. You got to stand out. You got to be loud. I mean, you know what? Even if you're quiet and shy, you can tell I'm really shy. Yeah, right. Be classy, but you got to. Nobody's going to. They're not going to scream your message like you are. You've got to be out there. And our vans, get this, our vans in Sun Valley. We had one mobile unit, and we had our shop. And we took it. We used to call it the Scooby Doo mobile because it was white. It was a white van, and then we had a wrap back when wraps were just getting popular, and it was bright frog green with our red logo on it, black letters, and our phone number was in yellow. And it really looked like you'd put a frog into a blender, and the bone marrow and the blood and the skin all mixed together. But you know what? My own brother, I had different numbers on each corner of the van: 4, 6, 3, 2. And my brother would say, how many damn vans do you have out there? Nobody knew. But you know what? Everybody in the world, again, we had 60% market share. The van wasn't made to look all chic and pretty. The van stood out. It looked like nothing else in town. And guess what? We got a lot of work off it. I don't care. Was it real pretty? No. But we got more comments on that damn van. And we stayed with that design for over a decade. Make sure that your branding tells a story of kind of not only what your company does, but let it be a part of you. Especially if you got anything interesting. If you've got a story to tell, if you're a standout individual. We've got a couple of those individuals on this call that really stand out for a reason. Either they're super ugly or their mom's ugly, but they've branded it that way, and it's worked really well. Are you using the technology tools to assist you at branding? What are you using? Are you doing branding? There's so many online sources now. Branding has gotten a lot cheaper than it used to be. And so make sure that you're searching around and using technology to assist you at branding. Also, are you spreading that branding across the entire web? A lot of people now are not building websites. That's a big mistake. You need to have all of these different social media sites going, but you also need to have a website. You really do. Does your market understand what your branding is offering? Do you make it clear? A lot of people, do you know what they think pinstripe or detailing is pinstriping? We've characterized that. We've done studies over the years, and it's still the same thing. They think that you pinstripe things. They think that you put stripes, that you do color matchup, that you change the color of their interior. They have no idea what detailing is. It's just in the recent years that it's starting to really come out. Tell your story, share your story, get others to share the same information. If you've worked your butt off and you've done extraordinary things and you've come out of nothing, why aren't you sharing that story with other people? Your story should be all over the place. It should be on video. It should be on photographs. It should be on Instagram. It should be on all of them. Twitter. It should be on everywhere, all over the internet. Recognition. This is huge. This is absolutely huge. This is something that most people don't even think of, or they don't want to put the time into it. And it's a big, big mistake. Are you supporting your local community? If your answer is no, and you're a business owner, sorry about that. I'm gonna slap you right now. You should be taking, and Craig, do we see recognition up?
Yep.
Cool. If you're not involved in your local community, and I don't mean just writing a check, I mean putting your time into it. Maybe it's helping the elderly, maybe it's helping kids, maybe it's at the animal shelter. You pick it out. For my wife and I, we've been involved for 25 years in mountain rescue. My wife was a police officer. I was a reserve police officer for many years. I wasn't a want to be a cop. Never wanted to be a cop, but I did want to carry a gun when I was out in search and rescue. We've done it for 25 years. I've been on hundreds of operations. I don't go, there's things I love the shelter, but I cry every day, and I'd have a shelter at my house if I went to the animal shelter because I'd adopt them all. So it's something that I'm really good at at the wilderness. I know it. I'm good at navigation, and that's where I put into the community, and I put thousands of hours in. I'm a citizen soldier with the Cal Guard, involved in search and rescue of the Cal Guard. So we support our state that way. As far as making big leaps in detailing, are you helping? Are you involved in testing? Are you taking and engaged with manufacturers? Are you doing special projects within detailing? Your local market has got special projects. If they got a museum, if they got a community museum that they've got any vehicles, they need to have those vehicles preserved. Now that's how I started. I started doing local before we did Air Force One and B-29s and B-17s and I can keep going and going and going and going on all the things that we preserved. But your local market's got those things hanging. Are you tapping into it? You should be. Are you supporting detailing and making a name for yourself? Are you involved in the IDA? If you're not, again, I think it's a big mistake. My wife and I are both founding members, meaning that we wrote a big check to the IDA. It took me a couple years to really get my faith, but I could go down and Keith and Bob and all these different people, Greg Sweat, all these people that I'm going to leave Prentice St. Clair. A lot of people put a lot of backbreaking work into it. And you know what? It's changing our community. It's changing our industry, and you should get involved. With that is that with your support of your community, you're going to get recognized. But you've got to go out there with an open heart, and you've got to serve for the right reasons. Now, do I get rewards off of serving? You bet you I do. Would I stop doing it if the business didn't come in? You betcha. The time that I put in search and rescue, I can never recapture that time. But I mean, 2 nights ago of pulling a dad and 2 sons off the mountain that probably would have been in pretty bad shape, if not dead, the next morning. You know what? That's payment alone. I felt good about myself as a human, taking part in that. And working with other people that volunteer like I do. That's a big part of it. So you need to volunteer. It's good for your community and it's good for your business. People get to know you. And I'm telling you right now, whether you believe in this whole karma thing or not, it comes around. It really does. Find your market facts. Okay. Really, I wish more people would understand how important this is, especially right now. This is where we're going to get into coatings a little bit. We're going to talk about that just a little bit. So know your local market, know what it will accept and the price point wise, know what it's going after. Now, when I started up in our Sun Valley, Idaho, if you want to find out, if you're saying, what's Sun Valley, Idaho? Just Google Sun Valley, Idaho. You'll be blown away. My kids went to school with Bruce Willis and Demi Moore's kids. That's just one sign of the level of community it is. It had a lot of money. I mean, there's an old saying that in Sun Valley, the billionaires were buying out the millionaires. That's how gross it was money-wise. But you've got that market. I was charging $125 for an inside and outside that first year. It was horrible. I thought I was going to die. My brothers kept teasing me and everything else. By the second year, I doubled that. By the third year, I tripled that. And also, I'd taken and cut down my hours. So I tripled the price, and I was doing half the time. So what's that mean for my profits per hour? It was huge. It was huge. In that market, they weren't looking for much. Matter of fact, the first year, I could hardly get anybody to even wash their vehicle on the outside. Within a couple of years, I had regular maintenance accounts that I was maintaining all winter long, and our winter business was actually very stabilized. By year 3, I had 2 full-time people, and while I was up skiing and having fun, my 2 staff members were down taking care of business because I was lifestyle. I wanted to develop that, but it took some really careful planning. Did it take a long time? A lot of you think 3 years is a long time. 3 years is nothing in business. That first 2 years, I worked side jobs all winter long, so I didn't have to take out a savings. Here's another challenge I've got in the winter. When you're going to winter, you better have 10 to 20 grand set aside. Excuse me. And the reason why is that's going to be your seed money. That's going to be your rainy weather money. That's going to take you through so you don't have to stress yourself out. So you don't go back home and stress your spouse and your kids and your loved ones. Or if you're young, that's money that you just don't need to take out of savings. You need to have that set aside so you don't go into debt. I do not believe in debt in a business, not this size of business. You get into bigger businesses, there's points where debt makes sense. But in a small business like this, you can't afford to carry debt. It's a killer. It'll kill you every time. Anybody that comes into our training, if they got heavy debt, I tell them to keep a full-time job for 2 or 3 years until they can pay that debt down. That's how critical. I've watched too many people eat it with that. And then how to develop the market into a market with a goose that lays the golden eggs. Here's we go into paint correction and coatings. Not every market's going to buy a $2,000 paint correction, but every single market out there will buy a paint correction and a coating at the right price. Now, here's what it comes into. Is I know there's some amazing products and amazing coatings out there right now. And I'm not even going to get into which ones are the best. There's so many good ones, it's unbelievable. But there's some that are really expensive and there's some that are really affordable. You can sell a coating, but you've got to sell it at the right price. Now, here's the deal. I can tell you right now, most of our people in the detail mafia that are selling $300 paint corrections, which isn't much of a paint correction, but it's what their market's willing to do, and installing a reasonable or realistic coating are probably making more money than the guys that are out there selling $2,000 jobs and putting the high-end coatings on per hour. Now, are they bringing in that much money? I don't care how much money you bring in. I want to know how much you're making per hour. I want to know what your profits per hour are. So I just read something interesting. Now, one of our guys just told about a $300 job, and he made a little over $75 an hour installing it. I just read on social media just a couple days ago, this gentleman that did a $2,600 coating and had 126 hours into it of paint correction. Do the math. He ain't making jack. He's going to go broke, and he doesn't even know it. He's so allured by the big number that he completely sidestepped what he's doing. Now, I know people, Anthony Torres, he couldn't be on here. He had an incident, a real bad incident. He couldn't make it on. This guy's probably one of the leading coating installers in the country. He's part of our group, and he's making really solid money. I'm going to guess $75 to $250 an hour on his coating installs, depending on how he sold it. If he makes, because we all make mistakes, we all misbid things. So you might get into a job and it's a all original Cobra, Shelby Cobra with original paint. They want it corrected out for some strange reason. You start correcting it out, and everything goes bad from there. You just can't get it to work, and you lose a little bit of money. But on the side things, I know Anthony, man, he'll be upwards of $300 an hour on some of these coating jobs. So coatings are very profitable. Here's the other thing that I'm going to warn you about, since somebody asked. Coatings, I think, are being missold a lot of times. I hate the saying that never wax your car again. I think that's going to do more damage to detailing than anything. I think you also have to sell it with the truth, the facts, and none of the fiction. It's not going to stop bird etching in most cases. There are some very dynamic coatings out there that can withstand that, but most of the ones that we are using on a day-to-day basis aren't. Also, hard water spots. Unless you're coating 100% of the car, that's going to be fact. And on some coatings, I think it makes hard water spots worse. So I think that we really, if you don't know coatings, you need to get tied in with somebody that does, so you don't sell these things and misrepresent them. I watched a young man last year. He asked me to help him. I gave him input as much as I could. He took and sold a job on coating it. He coated all the wheels, coated the plastic, coated the paint, coated the windows, and the gentleman came back about 2 months later, and it was covered in hard water. I mean, I'm talking white covered. He had to go back. He had to replace some of the plastic pieces because he couldn't get that off. He had to take and basically sand the whole car back down, and he lost thousands and thousands of income man-hour wise, because he didn't sell that coating correctly. So I'm all for coatings, but unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are diving in to coatings right now, and they're misleading, or they've been misled. So you need to do your homework. And it's, again, I don't mean this. There's a lot of positives on the coating side, but there are some negatives right now that you got to be very, very careful of. Detailing is a stepping stone business. And what I mean by that is, through the years, I've used detailing to go into other industries and to make money by starting other businesses and selling them. I've made money by starting other businesses in other markets and selling that business. So don't be afraid to get from one side of where you're at right now to the other side. Detailing is, if you got into it to be wealthy, and I know a few of you said that you did, it's a really tough business to get wealthy on, but it's not a tough business to take and launch you into the next industry that's going to allow you to get wealthy. So especially if you're under 50 right now, if you're under 55, there's no reason to start this thing up. You can sell it and go on to the next one. Now, if you're over 50, I'm going to tell you it's a good lifestyle business. It's a great lifestyle business, and you can make money at it. But if you want to make a lot of money, a ton of money. Now, if $100,000 a year is a lot of money to you, you can do it. You can do it. But if you want to make millions, boy, I'll tell you what. If you figure it out, let me know, because I'm going to write my next book all about you. Because I've brought in, our company did generate over 7 figures a year, and what we kept behind, I was better off running with 3 people than I was 30 technicians. So bigger is not always better. So use it as a stepping stone. Use it as a way to expand into other businesses. And I know a lot of people that still, my partners down in our Dallas operation, they had 13 companies, and the detailing was just one of them. Is that, did you know in America, well, globally, I'm sure, I just read the stat, that the average American millionaire has 7 sources of income. And detailing can be one of the sources to make you a millionaire, but it's not going to probably make you a millionaire by yourself. Can you get a net worth of $1 million? Yep, been there. I lost a lot of it in 2008. But I've made that kind of money before you can do it. But I'll tell you what, there's easier ways to do it, and it's a much better lifestyle business. From there, future opening, we're going to have some other webinars coming up later this year in conjunction with the IDA, in conjunction with PNS, in conjunction with Flex Polishers. We've got a lot of great, matter of fact, we're talking about coatings. We got a coating manufacturer coming on here in a couple weeks that's going to do a open webinar, and we'll do those. I don't think they're going to be on Thursdays because that conflicts with our Detail Mafia ones. Watch our newsletter and social media for updates on that. Join the Detail Mafia. We have weekly webinars, Monday peer mentoring webinars that are really something else. It's where the group comes in and peer mentors one another. It's the first in our industry. We introduced it a few years ago, and it's grown now into where the team's taking it over and they're doing it themselves. We've got a lot of special projects coming up. We've got a private member area that supports our group, where it's just us sharing information and knowledge. And 100% of our members are trained and certified by my wife, Diane, and I. If you'd like, here's all our contact information. If you'd like to get a hold of us, just reach out to us anytime. You can get my book on Amazon. Just tap in Renny Doyle and you'll find the book. And then with that, again, I want to thank Flex, PNS, Professional Detail Products, and then the IDA. And with that, let's see if we have any questions, shall we? And run through these questions real quick. So, okay, we've got a few. So let's go through. Okay. Again, a lot of people are asking about coatings and what coatings. Boy, I'll tell you, there's a lot of great ones out there. If it's geez. I mean, the mainstream ones. I mean, we've used everything from you name it. We've tested. I think there's only a few that I've seen active on social media that we haven't tested. I won't say all of them have been great, but I think that they all fit a niche within it. I've liked others. Better than some are a lot better than others, but there's bulletproof, for instance. I think it's a great little, if you're in a small market and you can't get much for a detail, damn man, that's just a real usable coating. I mean, IGL, I've been playing with it, all the Ceramic Pro, G Technique, all of them. There's a lot of positives in all of them. You just got to do your homework. That's a whole topic on its own. Okay. The next one is to for marketing. What do you plan on spending on marketing? Here's my budget right now on social media marketing. I'm spending about $100 a month with absolutely great results. I'd love to hear some of what you guys are spending. But if you do your homework and you niche down your marketing efforts on Facebook, you can really custom design an audience. And again, talking about this is you don't want to take and market to the world unless you're doing niche supercars or classics or something like that. Then you can. But for the most of us, for 99 out of 100 on this call right now, you really want to niche it down. You want to take and make your list special. So you want to take and advertise only towards your local market. And it's really not that hard to do. You've just got to understand it. And there's a lot of great books out there that will support that effort. So spending wise, I mean, I'm spending less on marketing dollars than we definitely did even 5 years ago, probably half as or a quarter as much as we did 10 years ago. Oh man, I used to probably spend 100 times more a decade or more ago before online really became popular. So online, offline marketing is really expensive. We don't get into newspapers. We don't get into printed advertisements. Usually not. We do sponsor car events, car shows, different events around town. Those are very, very, those are really supportive of that effort. but to go into any kind of other offline marketing just doesn't make sense. So right now, I mean, if you've got a budget, 25 to $100 a month, you're gonna do really well. So okay, well, hey, I think we've come to the end of it. Unless there's any other questions, we'll wrap up. Watch social media. We'll announce the next ones. We'll go ahead and put this you'll see it over onto YouTube here in the next couple days, and then we'll load it up onto social media. If you have any questions, make sure to reach out with us. And like always, happy detailing, everybody. Have a blessed night. Stay warm wherever you're at, and God bless. Take care.